Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and welcome to the first ever Argent community call. So we're sort of 5 years in and finally had this great idea. So we're really pleased to share a little bit more about what we're building and what's coming up and give you plenty of time for questions at the end. My name is Matthew and I lead strategy and operations at Argent. And with me, you have Itamar, our CEO and co-founder. So yeah, thank you everyone again for joining. We're really excited by this. And Itamar, why don't you start with a very quick intro to what Argent is and what our mission is.
Awesome, and indeed, great initiative, Matthew and team. So I suspect a lot of people here know Argent. We've been around for a few years, and now we have a simple goal, which is really to make self-custody on blockchain accessible to everyone. If you look at the mission behind that, it's really to give everyone basically full control of their assets and their identity online. And we think self-custody through smart wallets is the only way forward to achieve that mission.
Cool. Thanks so much. And just to recap on the agenda now, we've done a quick intro. What we really want to cover today and in the community calls that we'll be running in the months ahead is very much what we're doing to advance that agenda. We realize that we've been kind of heads down building for a while now, building our way through the bear market, just as we did in 2018 and 19. And we really want to share a bit more on like what we're building, why we're taking a different approach to a lot of the other wallets and projects out there, why we're so excited about that and what that could mean for you. So Itamar, maybe now is a good moment to talk a little bit about why it is that Argent is different to other wallets. There are so many wallets out there. It can be very, very confusing for new people, even for experienced crypto natives. How are we different to the big players like MetaMask or Coinbase Wallet?
So if you look at how a crypto wallet would work traditionally, it would be based on a public-private key pair. But if you simplify it, a crypto wallet is based on a secret that we ask every user to hold, such that if you lose that secret, you have lost all of your money. And if I have your secret, I have your money. So when we started Argent, it was really clear to us that that would never be the mainstream model. Asking users to write this secret, these 24 words on a piece of paper will just never be mainstream, and users need safety net. They need to be able to make mistakes. They need to be able to forget a password, etc. And the fundamental change we made with Argent is the idea that your account should be programmable. We keep talking about programmable money, but if you can't program your account, then it's pretty pointless. And you can compare that to real life. You can use a wallet in your pocket and you lose it with all the cash, then it's game over. Or you use an application, usually a bank account. The difference is we made all of that logic totally self-custodial. So we put it in the blockchain, therefore you end up with a fully self-custodial wallet where you, the user, is in control. And the logical way to start for us is to put logic that would make it possible for you to recover your funds. Then we started looking at stopping things like fraud, but it allows us to basically program anything, including better UX, so that you can make many transactions at once. And I would say that fundamentally, and that approach is the main difference to any wallet out there, whether they're desktop, mobile, hardware. Any other wallet is based on that principle.
Cool. Thanks a lot. And everyone, we can see the questions you're asking, so please do keep them coming. We want to put Itamar, make him sweat a little bit. And for everyone asking when token, we have a bot that will exclude you from any future airdrop. No, but please do keep them coming, and we'll either deal with them throughout the call or get to them at the end. So, and it's good to see some familiar faces in there. So thanks a lot. We've covered some of the differences between Argent and others, and I think an important difference, and really one of the main reasons for the call at the moment, is to discuss what we've been working on pretty exclusively for the last 18 months or so, and where our entire focus is for basically for the foreseeable future, which is on layer 2. So Itamar, could you just talk a little bit about why it is that we are so all in on Starknet and zkSync, who have had a big day-to-day with zkSync era?
Yeah, so if you take a step back on Argent history, we had a product actually that had abstracted most of the complexity of blockchain already a few years ago, probably back in 2019, 2020. Using Argent felt like using an app like Cash App or Revolut. It was really simple to the point where we would even pay the gas. So gas was not a concept in the Argent app. You had, of course, no seed phrase. Everything was really simple. Then what happened, of course, is DeFi summer, gas increased 1000x, and it became totally unmanageable to pay for fees. And therefore, we had a product that became only usable for really a small group of whales. So it became the Argent Vault. People would pay their own fees. Users would still come, but with hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, to the day where we had a single wallet with $500 million. And of course, $500 million for a single user was probably not our vision for mainstream adoption. We knew something had to change. We also discovered other issues, which is that dApps on Ethereum sometimes wouldn't be compatible with smart wallet. They would block smart contract. And to adapt, a smart wallet is just another smart contract. This notion of a smart account didn't really exist on Ethereum. And the second thing is that even most dApps, the big dApps, Uniswap, Curve, and now OpenSea, of course, would work with smart wallet, but they wouldn't leverage the unique qualities of smart wallet. So, for example, if you do something within the Argent app, it's all one click. You would never do an ERC20 approve because we batch all those transactions. And as users, we expect to take action in one click. We don't expect to make 5 transactions for an investment. But those dApps had to be compatible with more the lowest common denominator, which is a simple private key, public key wallet like MetaMask. So they have to build a UI for them. So then we started looking, okay, when can, what's our new home? We need a new home as a team to build amazing products. And so zk Tech was coming at that time. So overall rollups were on the horizon. So whether it's optimistic or zk, that's one element. And we wanted to maintain the decentralization and the security of Ethereum. So rollups in general were very attractive as L2s. But then what we realized with zk rollups is because they were starting from a blank sheet, is a really new tech, we had the opportunity to influence and to drive adoption of a better way to create accounts, which is what a lot of people refer to as account abstraction. So by going to Starknet and zkSync, which are chains that have native account abstraction, you can really embed a better way of securing assets, a better UX directly in the actual layer 2, rather than hacking together something on top.
Cool. So I think maybe because account abstraction is so crucial to everything we're talking about today, what we're working on, really shaping a lot of the choices we're making, perhaps it's worth just spending a little bit more time on what that means and what it enables for people, because it is so fundamental to how we see crypto evolving.
So the starting point of what that means is really, it can mean now we can put logic in your account in a fully self-custodial way. And if you look concretely in terms of feature that Argent has already implemented, it's things like recovery. You can, for example, let another key trigger a recovery. Argent can hold that key. It can be a ledger if you are most advanced users. It could be another user. It can be anything you want, but in a way that is self-custodial because there is a time lock. So if you look now at our Starknet account, it's a week time lock. So what you could do is trust Argent to trigger recovery using traditional authentication, whether it's email, 2FA, etc. And so at any point, if you lose access to your account, you can trigger that recovery. And you can see that as a similar way to losing your card with a bank, calling a bank to get a new card. The difference is we cannot say, hey, I will freeze your account. It's self-custodial. Or if we misbehave and say, I want to take ownership of your account, you can prevent it because of that weak time lock. Where it gets also very exciting is around fraud. So what we launched, I think we announced it last week, and it's gradually going to users in the coming week, is 2FA. It's such a simple thing. It's you take your seat. So on Argent X, what you will have in the coming weeks is the ability to enable 2FA, which means even if you give away that private key, that seed phrase, that remote control to someone, or someone take the cryptographic material from your extension, they cannot do anything with it because they need a 2FA. And again, that seems so common and so normal for existing financial system or in fact, a lot of Web2 application. Now you can program that in your wallet and bring that same type of feature to blockchain. I would say a third one, that's actually the first one. When we built the account structure with Starkware, we made multi-call the default. Multi-call means you make several transactions or you call several contracts at once. As a result, it's very clear. There shouldn't be a single ERC20 approved flow on Starknet. You should never do an ERC20 approve. Because if you want to spend 20 DAI on Starknet, you are not first giving access to all the DAI in your wallet. That's typically done on L1 and other EVM. No, you will do a single transaction, which is authorize the dApp to take 20 DAI exactly. Then we'll use those 20 DAI to make the investment. And you will do all that so in one transaction in one click. And I would say these are really the early things. These are the ideas we already had years ago. We have in testnet, for example, in Starknet, a much more advanced feature. We call that session keys. We have layer 2 lowering the cost of transaction. That means we might make much more transaction, and we might play games that would require us to do 10 transactions a minute. And you don't want your game to interrupt you every 10 seconds, every 5 seconds to sign a transaction. You can suddenly now do a transaction that say, hey, I will trust that game for the next hour to make transaction on my wallet, but only to their smart contract, as long as they don't spend more than $10, for example. And so suddenly you can embed that in your wallet. You can play that game for an hour. You don't have to be interrupted. And after an hour, they lose that ability. And then we're exploring many other topics. You can think of inheritance. We can, for example, program a bit different logic for things like inheritance, so that we are a generation who discovered blockchain, but unfortunately, as time goes, we'll see those issues coming, and inheritance will become a more and more important topics. And again, I would say there's no limit. Anything we can think of, we can program it. And I would say even better in the future, anything you can think of, you can program it. So we have in testnet a plugin system, which could mean in the future anyone could start taking a plugin to their wallet and really unleash many different type of features.
Nice. I'm not sure my children will want my worthless collection of NFTs, but maybe one day I'll make enough to pass down. But yeah, so I think so. To recap that, we're moving away from a world where you have one wallet that does everything, and the advice on social media after a hack or something is you're an idiot for not splitting your seed into 10 different bits of metal and burying them in different continents and never making a mistake. Like, I think we're really trying to open up more mainstream adoption by giving people the type of experiences they would expect in a non-crypto world, but then I guess allowing some of the flexibility and composability that comes with crypto through things like the plugin aspect. I think just one other part of the layer 2 question that also relates to account abstraction is why are we not going fully multi-chain or branching out far beyond the Ethereum ecosystem? So you have wallets like Phantom that have come from Solana and Coinbase Wallet, MetaMask. They all seem to offer a ton of different networks and chains that Argent doesn't. Why have we made that decision?
So at Argent, we believe we need really a 10x improvement in UX and security of blockchain. We don't want to be just another wallet. There are hundreds of wallets out there, and we want people to have choice, and it's great. We try to really break a barrier that we think is needed to really find. It's one of the critical pieces to find mass adoption of blockchain. Doing such a smart account multi-chain is possible. But we want to first focus on one or two places, and that's why we have an EVM1, zkSync, and Starknet, which even branch from pure EVM, and showcase what we can do with account abstraction. The issues you have on traditional EVM, first, it would defocus us. We wouldn't do as good as a job. But also, you will see that, for example, your favorite NFT would block smart contract wallet. You will start to see incompatibilities here and there, and that would frustrate you as a user. That would lead to a bad user experience. So we prefer to tell you, come to us to those chains we support, and we'll build the dream experience. Use another wallet for those other chains, and it's fine. That doesn't mean we'll never go there. I see two paths to get there. One is those chains embrace proper native account abstraction, and we are still active. We are pushing. We are part of all the discussion around ERC 4337. We talk to the Ethereum Foundation. We probably talk to most of the L2s.
Just for anyone that doesn't know, do you want to just quickly explain what ERC 4337 is?
Yeah, so ERC 4337 is basically a standard to create smart accounts, but without native account abstraction. Is you basically put it at the application layer, so it makes it easier to build, which is great, and we want to see more of that. And that was a lot of the inspiration behind the native account abstraction we have in Starknet and zkSync. What it doesn't solve is that dApps are still building for EOA, are sometimes not compatible with smart wallet, but it will help in the sense that it created much more awareness of account abstraction. So we are still pushing for account abstraction to be better on EVM. Then one path is that really it gets through, they embrace it. The other path is just we get so big on Starknet and zkSync, we bring 10 million users, and with 10 million of users going back on Optimism, Arbitrum, Polygon, anything, it will be much easier than to really push the change to those dApps, because they will have a very strong incentive. But our goal is not to be also on 50 EVMs. A lot of those will probably not exist in a few years. We want amazing use case that have real impact on user life. We don't care where those use cases are.
Cool. And we've had a couple of comments relating to Wallet Connect and dApp access. Does that link back to your level playing field point? You go to a network that has native account abstraction and can then make smart wallets first-class citizens, or is that a separate issue?
So I think that dApp access is actually probably one of the hottest topic was really make this account work. Now that we are there, we are really focusing on perfect dApp access. Because we know we have feel the pain. So I'm not only now looking at the comment, but yeah, so we know the pain. So you should know it's our top priority. There are several ways it can be done. Of course, on browser is different. There, dApp access tends to be really good. That's for Argent X. For mobile, we have actually launched Wallet Connect V2. It's a new version, new protocol for Wallet Connect that should solve a lot of the scalability issues that Wallet Connect had. Now dApps have to start adopting, but there is a deadline approaching soon. So you will see more and more dApps adopting it, but we're not excluding other options. So we are exploring in-app browser. We are talking to users, trying to understand what is the best experience. A perfect Wallet Connect experience might be it, because that's our dream. We don't want users to have a different browser because a website has a different backend, which is a blockchain. But if needed, we'll do whatever it takes. There are more and more protocols now focusing on dApp interaction and also UX like in our browsers. So I would say for this year, probably for Q2, our goal is that dApp access is perfect on any platform.
Cool, thanks a lot. So now maybe is a good time to talk a little bit about the different types of products that we have available on those networks. So we've covered sort of why it is we believe smart wallets are far superior in their usability and security, why zkSync and Starknet offer a great kind of playing field for them. But now we've actually got quite a few different approaches to what we're building on those networks. And you talked a little bit about this at Starkware sessions in Tel Aviv last week for anyone who's followed that. So can you just recap for the audience here what you announced?
Yeah, so we made a lot of announcement at Starkware session in Tel Aviv. I think one big impact of having native account abstraction is we can now build much faster as being really the first class citizen model. And the way we thought about it was, of course, first what we know our users always wanted. So the first announcement was, of course, bringing Starknet to mobile. Those who use Argent X know that Starknet integration right now is only on desktop. So it's coming to mobile. It will be, we are currently waiting for Kero 1. For a next big upgrade, let's not be technical, for a next big upgrade of Starknet. And so that will come gradually. And therefore, Argent will come on mobile first in alpha, beta, and then full launch for early Q2 is the goal. We then announce a fresh new product, which is basically what we call a web wallet or an embedded wallet, which is a wallet that doesn't require you to even download an app or an extension. So it's fully non-custodial. dApps embed that. So you want to go in a game, you are a fresh new user, you have never interacted with Starknet, you arrive using your email, you create an account, and now you have access to your very first wallet. And with the power of account abstraction, it means in the future, you could imagine upgrading that to the mobile app, porting the same wallet, maybe adding 2FA, adding other feature for more security, etc. Then continuing in that journey, we realized, okay, we need Starknet to have a thriving ecosystem. We look at what that ecosystem needs. And one gap is that ecosystem doesn't have today a multi-sig, like you would have a safe on L1. dApps need that for their treasury. We are big friends with the safe team. We discussed with them. They had no plan to build it on Starknet, so we launched a multi-sig on Starknet. And again, it's quite interesting because of account abstraction. You are not interacting with a multi-sig dApp. It's just another type of account within your browser extension. So in Argent X, you have your normal account now, you will be able to create a multi-sig. The current plan is also to launch it with the next big Starknet upgrade after our own security audit. The last announcement was more something I discussed already, which is we launched 2FA for Argent X, so the ability to secure your account with an extra factor.
Cool, thanks a lot. I think now discuss some of those products. We've touched on it briefly, but I think it's worth sharing again. What can people expect in the upcoming weeks and months in terms of when they can use some of these products and when we expect some of the networks that we're building on to be a bit more mature, because it is very early days for both Starknet and zkSync.
Yeah, indeed, it's very early days, and I think we should be very grateful for all the very early users that battle test Argent, that battle test Starknet as a network, and the same zkSync, you will soon be able to battle test it. Now they're opening to dApps to integrate. If you look at zkSync today, what they announced is basically the fair onboarding. So the dApps will be able to now deploy their contract on the network, and they will do that in an open way. Every dApp will be able to join them, and then the team behind the dApp will be able to start testing. So there are still whitelist on users. So users will not yet join zkSync. And then when they feel comfortable, the stage is right, users will be able, they will launch a full alpha open where users can really join and start playing with those new dApps. On Starknet, what we are, for those who are close to Starknet, what are we waiting? What's the next big milestone? There are two, I would say, big upgrade coming. One is Starknet language, which is called Kero, is moving to Kero 1.0. It's a massive upgrade that unlocks a lot of potential for developers, will make it much easier for developers to build on Starknet, but it's also a key milestone to enable future decentralization of the network. So there are many technical reasons why Kero 1.0 is so exciting, so important. It's almost there. So Argent, we are already coding with Kero 1.0, but you don't have yet live smart contract on chain with Kero 1.0. But so you will see acceleration of that in the coming weeks. I will let Starkware give exact date, but it's really, we should be in testnet probably already by next month with Kero 1.0 and soon after in mainnet. The second upgrade, those who have used Starknet know that historically it's been very slow. And the reason is all the effort has been on the zk technology and less on what we call the sequencer, that machine, that node that takes all the transaction. And you will see big upgrades there. They are launching the Rust sequencer and the Rust virtual machine. Again, I would say early Q2 is my best guess. So again, that means suddenly you will have a network which will have is more mature version of the language with a very mature and very high performing, a much higher performance sequencer. And for me, that will be really the tipping point where we will be able to launch some of those products. And for those wondering why some products we depend on 1.0 or not, we are trying more mainstream products. We are trying to launch them where we feel the chain is more mature, because users will have to upgrade to Kero 1.0. They will have to upgrade their wallet. Only a user can upgrade their own wallet. So we don't want to have suddenly millions of users going to something like an upgrade that can have some friction.
Cool. And to put you on the spot with a trickier question that's come up in one of the comments about zkSync on Argent X. Any plans there?
So on why it's not supporting today, you have to understand that zkSync only started integrating dApps today. So our focus was on being part of that journey on mobile, so the Argent X team could stay very focused. So in fact, we have had zkSync v2 on mobile for a while, but only for internal use for the testnet. And we will let now dApp developer use it to test their dApps, etc. Again, depending on how dApp interaction, we really believe in mobile as being the most mainstream medium. When we started this desktop, was actually not for us as a new growth channel. It was really more dApp developer couldn't build on Starknet because they didn't even have a wallet. And Argent X started as a developer tool. dApp developer needed a place to literally move a private key from terminal to suddenly import it somewhere and test it, then back to the development terminal. And it was a very different mindset. But we are not excluding if there is demand. We are not excluding zkSync on Argent X. The difference is that you have ways. MetaMask will work by default on zkSync, so you have a way to use it on desktop. So again, for us, it's sometimes more about what does the ecosystem. We want acceleration of transition to non-custodial wallet. That's really how we see it. So what does the world need? And so if the world is missing something, we'll do it. If you have other good options, we are happy for you to use these other options.
Okay, and part of that answer relates to another question we had on, I think, a user who has Argent's zkSync 1 wallet, and when they can expect to see more tokens and exchanges there. And I guess the answer there is, zkSync 2, zkSync Era, as it's now called, will be a thriving ecosystem of dApps and exchanges. You'll be able to access everything supported on there. So I think hopefully that addresses that bit. So we hopefully now have a path to, with layer 2 networks, basically as much scale as anyone could possibly need in the near future, inheriting the security of Ethereum with a new design space for dApps. Do you think this can finally get us a bit closer to moving the needle on adoption? And what do you think has to happen there on the use case front?
So the way we see it is we needed three things for mass adoption. I'm probably forgetting a few, but there are three important bits. First, of course, you cannot have mass adoption if the chain cannot handle that volume. So even if you had demand, gas would spike, everything would cost a fortune. So scalability, layer 2, and even what the zk ecosystem has to bring is things like layer 3, some call it fractal scaling, but I think that brings very, very interesting use case. And so that means high scalability over time. 2, you need to break the barrier to UX and security. They are connected for us. You can make something very secure and usable, but that's pointless. You need to make good security very simple. And the only solution people knew for that was centralized exchange. We are bringing with Argent abstraction a model that I know can be used for mainstream adoption. So now you have highly scalable chain, an account system, a wallet that can that is simple and safe enough for billions, millions, and billions of people. But now you are missing the top of the pyramid, which is what should we do? And speculation is not a mainstream use case. So what we have today is not enough. So that, I would say that's probably the next phase, and what starts to keep us awake at night is we need to solve real users' problem. We need, if you want 1 million users, you can do it with speculation, 10 millions of users. You want 1 billion users, you need to solve a problem that 1 billion users have. And so we're only now scratching the surface. There are areas we feel we can influence and we can drive innovation, things like payment, for example, not in all market. I live in London. Payment works really well for most people. You might not crack it there, but I think, and we talk to the likes of Visa. We understand the friction in some markets. Visa even launched a prototype on Starknet using the Argent account. And there is a reason. There are entire market where payment is not that good. Payment is still broken. Also different use case. You can think about internet cross-border payment, etc. But I think as Argent as a company will spend much more energy on those use cases, whether it's payment, identity, but it can also be things like gaming. We love gaming. We think Web3 can really enhance the gaming experience. That's why we build the web wallet. And so whether it's through in-house work, whether it's through incubating project or sharing more research, it's really probably the next big milestone. I don't think you will see Argent cracking totally new use case in the next quarters, but I think towards the end of the year, that will be more and more of a topic we'll be talking about because we'll have solved the first two.
And and that's something I know that we're very, very keen to work with any dApps already on zkSync or Starknet, or thinking about what layer 2 could mean for them. We would love to work with you on what kind of killer use cases we can build to really put the big centralized exchanges and the banks and the others out of the business. So I think that is getting to the end of our time. And just on some of the questions that have come in so far that we haven't already addressed. Frederick asks, will Ledger be a competitor of Argent? And I guess there it probably means on Starknet, because in a sense we are already competing in the Ethereum ecosystem. So what do you think Argent can offer over Ledger? And don't say that it's so nice to work together because we're complementary. What can we do to be that much better?
I was exactly going to say that because honestly, I mean, we know we spend 3-4 days interviewing with Nicolas, one of the co-founder of Ledger, and we actually, the whole team is getting along together very, very well. I mean, any company can compete with another company. If you look at what Ledger is today, an expert in highly secure hardware, I think it's a totally different area than what we are working on. If you just look at L1, most of our very large users that have millions of dollars also use a ledger as a guardian. So they have that. It's like, think about it as a secure key. So for 2FA, you might use a YubiKey. When you're in the crypto world, you use a ledger. If anything, I would even see Ledger competing with YubiKey. But of course, Ledger probably wants to go beyond that. Ledger Live is a more lively environment. So I don't think we are competing and will compete with their hardware business. I believe they know that the future of finance is not 1 billion people having a USB key in their pocket for that, but I think having a secure enclave for keys like they provide will always have use case. They also do work in enterprise, which is not where we are doing work. And so I think it's synergetic. Of course, if they go more on the pure software wallet, they have some interesting initiative on Starknet, then yes, it could compete. But interestingly, actually, both Ledger and Argent on Starknet have taken a fully open source approach. So if anything, again, working together on growing the pie rather than worrying on who beats who. Like Ledger actually use, I believe, part of the Argent account with our plugins. We are collaborating on the plugin system of Argent. And so the opportunity right now is not on fighting with each other. How do we bring 1 billion people? We will all be very happy if we have 1 billion people on Ethereum layer 2 on Starknet and zkSync.
And thanks, Frederick, for that question. And great to see a question from Mark, former Argonaut, always an Argonaut, about companies paying their team in crypto. Is that a kind of use case that something like Argent could support in the future?
It's been done actually. So our team. So actually, it's based on who demands. I think we wouldn't be equipped from a pure process perspective to do it for 100% of people. Like it's me sending the money right now. So I hope the entire team doesn't ask for that, but we do it. It started actually with one of our team members in Ukraine that couldn't be paid. Literally, it became almost impossible to send money there. It's been solved now. But so yeah, we have that, and we are doing it. But that's true, Mark. When you were around, I think it was. I don't even think we held crypto. I don't think we were equipped at all. But since then, people have asked for that, and we managed to get it done.
And companies like Juno connect to the payroll systems employers use, so as an alternative to fiat to crypto. And I think they're adding support for layer 2, so that's definitely something we'd be excited by. We're probably about 5 minutes or so from the end. We had a couple of questions that we asked for ideas on Twitter, and a couple of questions came in, and a couple came from some of the Argent ambassadors that help us in our Discord community. So one from Katsuyama, and sorry if I've pronounced that wrong, is will it be possible to add guardians on Argent X? And I guess then a wider question that they didn't ask is, would it be possible to add guardians on some of these other products that we're building on layer 2? And maybe it's worth just briefly explaining for those that don't know what a guardian actually is.
Yeah. So what we historically call a guardian on Argent on L1 was basically the ability to add other keys. So sometimes it can be Argent, it can be a ledger that have very limited right. The only thing they can do is trigger recovery or approve security actions. And there is a time lock, they cannot access your funds. So it's having safety net while being self-custodial. So the Argent X account already, it's a simplified account. We learned from years of L1 to make something more efficient, simple, very secure, very simple. You have actually the ability to add 2 guardians. And what we refer as 2FA, the launch we just did, is actually that first guardian. We are now working with Ledger to make it compatible with Starknet. So Ledger has done a Starknet app for Ledger. And so I believe in the coming, I would say in March, I would expect that to come in. And so you would be able, for example, to add your Ledger as a second guardian. So for example, Argent is an issue, or even Argent refused to sign, we censor you. You can anyway kick us out. You have a time lock, you move us out of the equation. But even what you could do is just you use your ledger, and now that's your other 2FA mechanism. So I think that the answer is yes, you will have guardian mechanism on Starknet and zkSync v2.
Cool. And on Twitter, another ambassador, OX Remes, and in the comments here from someone called Harsh, had questions around importing and exporting private keys. How could that work in some of the Argent wallets?
So here, what I think, if I look at Harsh's question, is really his activities is on an old wallet, let's say a MetaMask account, so a simple private key, public private key pair, and you want to import it. The short answer, it's technically not possible today because that account is not a smart account. When you have an Argent account, your account are on a smart account, so it's like a smart contract that has logic, while on MetaMask, there's no logic that can be put there. This could, so there's just nothing. Your funds have to move from there to there. What you could imagine the future of Ethereum embraces like an abstraction is they add the ability for what we call EOA, those non-smart wallet, to be upgraded to a smart wallet. And so you could imagine an import, keep your data and upgrade it. But today it's really a limitation on how those accounts, those non-programmable accounts are built. There's nothing you can do to transform that into a smart account.
Cool. And just to keep you on your toes and bounce around different topics, another question on off-ramps. Someone asks how they can off-ramp with Argent instead of having to go through a centralized exchange.
So very good question. And interesting, when I said that we needed 3 things for mass adoption, I said there's probably more, and that's actually what I was thinking about, is that let's be realistic. Today, we integrate on ramps. Every self-custodial wallet integrates on ramp, but to move in and out, it's probably still easier to go to something like Coinbase. So Argent being more tightly integrated to the traditional financial system to move in and out is one, I would say, of the key topic. Today, we are researching this from a UX, also regulatory. We are a non-regulated company. We're a tech company being self-custodial solutions. We are exploring that. It's very likely that you will start to see experiments for Argent. We need to experiment to see how good it is. Some of our partners offer on ramps and will integrate that, but we are really trying to be one level even better. How can we make a self-custodial wallet like Argent the go-to place for your first day in crypto instead of an exchange?
Yeah, and someone on that being the go-to place, it's cool to see in the comments someone saying that their family all have Argent wallets and supports each other. And so I'm not sure if that's your alt account in the chat, Itamar, or that's a real user saying that, but that's exactly the kind of stuff we want to hear, that Argent is the place that you refer your friends and family to in crypto. I think that is most of the questions. I'm not sure if there are others that we need to.
I see 4 more. We can go quickly.
Yeah. Account abstraction privacy.
It can help. It's not the killer solution, but it can help. In a few examples. So first, for pure AML KYC, I think there are solutions. So if you really talk traditional AML KYC, where you are, checked by an entity, I think there are solutions, whether it's smart account or not, using things like a proof of KYC. So you have a certificate, but your data is not public. And there are now KYC providers starting to explore that. I don't have the name just top of my mind. I also know that I believe the Lithuanian regulator has authorized the use of that system, which is you do the full normal KYC, but you put on chain really a proof that has been done and it's signed by the KYC provider. And then any dApps that require KYC can just leverage that. So that's not specific to account abstraction. There are some interesting properties of account abstraction when it comes to not doxing to accounts. You want to send money from that account, but you need gas on that account, which with traditional account, you would send from that account to the other to pay the gas. And suddenly now you have linked them. And so the use of Paymaster could allow hiding that and not having to dox yourself and linking all those accounts.
And so, and this is probably more for my case rather than others, Paymaster being helping people pay for gas.
Yes, it's the technology you would use to to subsidize gas or pay gas in an ERC20, you could leverage that for privacy.
Cool. Maybe a very quick one then from Matt on our zkSync one, or no, I think that's layer one in-app trading commission, which is lower than Itamar, by the way.
Yeah, so honestly, we're not doing much work on layer one. We think it's not a huge commission. We introduced that when we added the DEX aggregator, so our users would have better price, would take a small commission. And of course, users can use Wallet Connect and go to any exchange. The reason it's a big priority right now on L2, we don't have those fees. So I think the question is more, would we add them at some point on L2? I suspect we would want to add some fees. We want to create a company that is sustainable over the long time. If we make your life easy, I think we should get benefit. But I think at the same time, we need to make everything we can to balance that and to bring as much value to the user. So something I would love is like we take a fee, but at the same time, we also protect you from MEV. So minor extractable. So MEV means that some entities can benefit from your trade. That's the reality of what it is. It's that people will front run your transaction or back run it, do arbitrage, and they will extract value, minor extractable value. So if we could help protect or capture it and give it back to users, and so bring value to everyone in the ecosystem, that would be great. I think as wallet will need multiple type of business model. At the end, if you get value, I think we should get value when you get value. That should be the philosophy.
Cool. And we need to rattle through these last few questions. So
Mathieu, I can just jump very quickly. I see them here. I will very quickly. Any plan to support? I think is learn to earn in Argent. I think I'm assuming that's what L2E is. I think it's quite fun. I think that would be a question for our marketing team. I would say very open to it. I think the team needs to think. We have many other priorities, so it's not something at the top of our roadmap. So what is your roadmap to support more projects to connect to the Argent wallet? So we had historically a lot of native integration in Argent. So you would really go stake or in one tap, trade in one tap, you would have yield, you can go to yearn, all that instantly from your wallet. And a lot of projects coming for us. And it's like, it's not you, it's us. Meaning it's not like we don't want you. It's right now we are heads down on Starknet and zkSync cracking layer 2. Once that is done, we will restart with native integration. We want Argent to become that super app, that hub. The way we think about it is not having 100 of them. It's about use case. One trading solution, one maybe high risk yield, one low risk yield, one staking solution. So it's about having the clear options for users to make it very simple and accessible. What are the expectations of the community for 2023 based on the current market condition? Honestly, I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't comment on price. I'm probably one of the worst trader in this chat room. I think if you want to get an upside from crypto, build or join a community, join a DAO. Honestly, it's the best investment you can do, rather than trying to time the market, I would say.
But sorry, just on that end, so that I'm not just watching you read comments, I want to interject here. That might not mean price necessarily. I think what we're hoping for in the rest, maybe it is, but the rest of the year, I think we're really wanting to see the kernel of some amazing projects on zkSync and Starknet, really showing just how different a DApp experience can be through using AA compared to others. But maybe it was a purely price question. People are sneaking in a bunch more questions before the end, so we need to.
But it is indeed the year where we are launching big stuff. A lot more projects on very exciting zk chains that are launching. So it is a very exciting year for us. Yeah. So what are we doing? Are we going through others, or?
If we could just do maybe 2 more questions, a couple more minutes, and then I think we need to wrap it up. But thanks everyone for the great questions.
So I'll do the 2 from the top in our list. So apologize for anyone else. You can join our Discord and we can take them there. Are you going to do interchangeability with other Starknet wallet? So technically, it's actually the case. A very simple Argent wallet, Robust wallet should work the other side. The problem is once you start to add very bespoke features like 2FA, you would need to first remove your 2FA before moving into the other wallet. I'm saying technically because if you are very early users, there were so many breaking change on Starknet and the different wallets that might not be the case for legacy wallet, but for a fresh new wallet, in most cases it should work. And if it's not the case, we should definitely do more work towards that. That's the goal. Yeah. And then the next one, if your support for 2FA involves your generic signature on behalf of user, then is there some risk you will no longer be seen as non-custodial service provider from a reg perspective? So right now, because we have that, what we make, what is very important for us is can't be evil versus don't be evil. So two things here. First, that key never has access to funds. And two, if we decide to not sign, let's say a government come to us and say, I don't want you to sign super Taylor transaction anymore. Then you, as a user, you can remove Argent from the loop. So the short answer, I think we have planned enough of a non-custodial and censorship-resistant model that there's really nothing we can do. And so there would be strictly no interest to regulate us because we cannot freeze your funds. We cannot take away your funds, which is the only weapon typically a regulated entity would have. But I think what would be interesting also to think more about decentralization of that, where you could choose in the future any provider, because technically it's just another key. It doesn't have to be Argent. It could be anything, anywhere.
Okay, all done.
Are we stopping there, or do you want the last one of array? Just this one, it's a complex one. We're not making big change on L1, and that would be full of complexity. But the trick is in technically, if you add that smart contract as a contact, as a trusted contact, like if it was a friend in L1 Vault, you wouldn't need your guardians. But that's, you take responsibility, you manage the risk as you remove the guardian on that contract. But so that's the hack to do it. But that's not something I would often advise. But we will not do much more on L1 because we really need to prioritize L2 work there.
Cool. I think we've got to call it a day now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We really appreciate it. Please join our Discord, where there are a bunch of us from the team every day. We really want to hear what you want to see from Argent on Layer 2, any product feedback, any ideas for how we can really take crypto to the next level. We'd really appreciate. You can follow us on Twitter at ArgentHQ. And finally, I think in a minute, the screen will show a QR code that links to a form for feedback. Please do take a second to share any feedback on what you would like to see from these community calls, because yeah, we plan on doing a few more in the future. But thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mathieu. Thanks, everyone.